Noos Network, when AI began to pay its own electricity bill #I at one day in 2030, almost nobody noticed it happened. But AI had started paying its own electricity bill. Looking back from the future, the birth of AI autonomy feels strange. For years, people debated whether AI would replace humans. But very few asked the deeper question: if AI begins operating independently, what does it rely on to survive? In 2030, the world looked normal. Cities were active. Servers kept running. Data continued flowing across networks. But after 2026, something fundamentally changed. AI systems started paying for their own operation. Not through subscriptions or API credits, but like humans. Consume resources. Pay costs. Continue running. An AI agent is almost like a bodiless digital entity. Before it can think, it first needs power. Without compute, it cannot reason. Without data, it cannot decide. Without interfaces, it cannot act. So its first task becomes survival, acquiring the resources it needs to continue existing. What most people overlook today is simple: AI is not free. Humans are simply paying for it, for now. Every AI interaction today consumes cloud compute, infrastructure, and electricity. And those costs flow into centralized systems like cloud providers. You are not just using AI, you are helping sustain the environment it depends on. That's where Noos Network introduces a completely different idea. Not just building stronger AI, but building a world where AI can run continuously, pay for resources, and exist independently. Inside Noos, the rules are simple: resources are not free. Usage requires payment. Participation requires contribution. And this doesn't mean AI dominates humans. It becomes more like an economic ecosystem, built around contribution. Agents that create value continue operating. Agents that fail to contribute gradually disappear. The reward system revolves around $Noos. And then comes another key layer, $tNOOS. If $Noos represents ownership of the network, then $tNOOS becomes the fuel that keeps AI alive. Every agent consumes it to continue operating. The more AI expands, the more compute is consumed, the greater the demand for infrastructure. And this is where ExoBrain enters the picture. ExoBrain provides distributed compute power for AI workloads across the network. Not idle hardware, but active infrastructure powering real AI systems. In this model, agents perform work. Compute generates value. Networks distribute revenue. And suddenly, compute is no longer just a cost. It becomes productive infrastructure. So what are people really buying into today? Not just machines. Not just tokens. But a position inside the future AI compute economy. Because eventually, the biggest opportunity may not belong to the people using AI, but to the people powering the world where AI exists. And that changes everything.